So yeah, right now we had a lot of contrast between shade, foam, and the you know and the material, and also we follow the foam language and the flow and the gesture to, and also think about big, medium, small, those things. We are adding all those things together to creating this nice bedrock for our environment. So I was think about what's next. And of course, we can um, adding some background, which is I definitely going to do that. But I for now I was thinking about, yeah, maybe I can do another level of phone language, which is a phone language inspired by our very cold, strong stone fortress and our organic, very soft elements such as water. I think these two things combined together is giving us up our great opportunity to design a new shape and form. You know, so right now I want to talk about some of the phone language that I feel. One thing is the arch. Previously I didn't talk about much because arch obviously is a lot different than a very vertical, a very cold stone fortress, right? It's curvature. And I think one thing for sure is like this for example, like we got horizontal surface and the vertical surface, and in between we will got this kind of 90-degree angle, and this kind of angle is like there's a lot of pressure inside this kind of angle. So, but I think the arch is a nice way to convert the pressure from horizontal surface to vertical surface. You see the pressure is got really nicely, translate into vertical, element. So, but of course, not saying like when we see arch, we will automatically have such a rational reaction inside our brain, but still, I think when we see element like arch, we get a nice feeling of like, oh yeah, that's a nice connection between two surfaces. Like we got our horizontal bro and the vertical bro, and they're like, hey man, what's up? Give me five, and they are like right, they're like high five and like, hey, sup? You know, it's just they got good relationship. Well, at least that's how I feel. And and for what and I realized one thing is like the what something like water, right? We water is kind of similar because when we when water met some of the hard stone, it will simply just uh, string across it, right? The flow will there will be a very nice transition. It won't be a very harsh angle. So I think, yeah, and this is actually a good opportunity to design some of the new element, right? So it could be, for example, right now I'm going to demonstrating, which is like just design a simple pattern, on our wall, and it's kind of like some kind of 2D pattern, which is not a very effective element, it's not a three-dimensional form or shape. But I think it could be a great start point for us to exercise the nice feeling of flow, which is water element. If water the pattern the inspired by the water and the nice contract between transition. Oh, sorry, nice transition between vertical and horizontal element. I think that's this is could be a great start point to for us to just exercise and to try to design new language. And yeah, of course, later on, I will do it in uh, different sizes and do this in different size, design new elements such as some of the bigger element. And right now, I was trying to design a little elements such as this kind of pattern on the wall. Uh, yeah, you can see using some of the a modifier called solidify, and using because it could much easier for me to control the thickness of our element, and also of course subdivision to adding more segment for our shape to in order to creating a much smooth curvature. And yeah, well, in this time I kind of forgot to turn on the keyboard, so you may now aware of what I'm doing, very very easily. But as you can see, I think I just using some of the very basic modeling technique. But I think there's one thing kind of unique, which is I using solidify to giving me the thickness rather than to creating an actual extrude the actual thickness. So right now what I'm doing is like I want to apply the kind of flow of water on our little window of our on our wall. I of course this is kind of not a very obvious thing, but actually doing this is giving me a lot of good idea. We can definitely doing this kind of shape and form and make it cover all the as an element on our thing. It just for example, maybe I want to add in more and also, oh yeah, by repetition, by repeat some of the shape and form, I also creating some kind of like what the flow feeling, which is like we got a feeling of like things are streaming started very they're like moving around, like streaming around. It's kind of like it's like a water flow. So I think this is kind of interesting, also a very interesting effect, which is I previously not very much pay attention to it, but right now when I notice that, like, oh yeah, that's actually very much like water, right? And yeah, I think this pretty much this chapter, and I see you next chapter to talk about more of using this idea of phone language to design more content.